I'd rather...
Oh, I'm sorry to keep you waiting, Mr. Chamberlain.
That's perfectly all right, Quinton. I've been admiring your library. Very impressive.
Well, thank you.
Oh, I noticed that you wrote several of these books yourself. The young never cease to astonish me. You're very modest for a man of your accomplishments.
Well, I take a great deal of pleasure in my work.
Good.
May I offer you some coffee? I'm sure Mrs. Renfield would make some for you.
Oh, no, thank you. I see you're busy, but there is something I'd like to discuss with you.
Yes?
Well, this has been troubling me ever since the proxy, the business at the time of the stockholders' meeting. There was something very curious going on about your proxy.
Well, I'm not sure I follow.
Quinton, I am convinced that the only way that Vanessa could have gotten you to take the proxy away from me and give it to her was by blackmailing you.
I see.
No, it's a curious thing to have to say about your own daughter. But I also believe that the way you got the proxy back for yourself was doing the same thing to Vanessa. Now, would you mind telling me what you used to blackmail her? How in heaven's name did you beat that girl at her own game?
I don't think it would benefit anyone to go into all of that. Besides, everything was resolved to everyone's satisfaction.
Quinton, may I explain my reason for asking?
Yes, please. Sit down.
Thank you. You see, I happen to know that you requested some financial reports from Spaulding. Now, it was after you received them that you took your proxy away from me and gave it to Vanessa.
But that is not actually how it happened. I requested those financial reports after I gave your daughter my proxy.
You'd already given her the proxy?
Yes, that's correct.
And she had been blackmailing you. And you found something in those reports that you used to turn the tables.
Mr. Chamberlain, I'm not at liberty to go into that now.
If you have something in your past that makes you vulnerable, then Spaulding Enterprises is vulnerable. You put both of us in a very weak position if you can be...
Blackmailed again?
Well, yes.
Mr. Chamberlain, I believe that we all have something in our past or in our present, which we would prefer remain undisclosed. I do not think I'm alone in that.
No, I understand that all too well. But, Quinton, surely you can tell me what it was you found in those financial statements that you used to turn the tables on Vanessa.
I would prefer not to go into that.
I promise you I'd never divulge it to anyone.
Mr. Chamberlain, now, I've never denied using your daughter's tactics, but I do not believe it is my place to discuss this with you. Now, may I make a suggestion?
Please do.
Your daughter knows what we discussed. Why don't you go and ask her?
Thank you, I shall. Although it is often very difficult to get information out of Vanessa.
I realize that.
Her stony silences sometimes make me wish we could bring back medieval torture. My daughter can be a very difficult young lady.
I know, Mr. Chamberlain. I know very well.
To be just, you know, right, just absolutely right for her first birthday party.
Well, just don't go overboard, that's all I'm saying.
Well, I know, it's just I feel real guilty about not being here on the exact day.
Don't worry about it. We made a big fuss over it. Ma got a cake, Floyd and I sang
I
happy
know, I
birthday.
just feel bad about not being here.
Well, you weren't here, so forget that, okay? All you can do is go on now and do what you would have done if you were here. Just don't make me crazy about it. Come here, I need your finger. Right here.
Where? I don't...
Over here on the screw.
Where?
Hold the wire.
All right.
Under the screw.
Under the screw?
Yes.
All right, well, I mean, I've got the hats, I've got the, I've got balloons.
Listen, get a big cake. I hate it when there's not enough cake.
Well, Cook's making the cake and Mom's making some awful tuna casserole and bringing it over to the house tomorrow.
Okay, I'll bring the beer. I think a quarter keg ought to hold down you lightweights.
Are you sure that's enough?
Trust me. Inviting Floyd to this thing, aren't you?
Well, of course I am. I mean, Quint and I feel that, you know, that he should be there. I mean, he is Stacy's father.
Yes, well, I just wanted to make sure you remember.
Her natural father.
What's that supposed to mean?
She just might have a stepfather someday, that's all.
Oh, and if you have your way, it will be Quint.
Well, I mean, after
After
all...
all, she's lived there since she was a baby, and she sees more of Quint than her natural father, right?
So you can read minds.
Yeah, not all. Just yours.
But it is true. I mean, Quint has been more of a father to Stacy than Floyd ever was.
Well, you're not being fair. Now, you know damn well Floyd would have had you two married a long time ago. You'd be living in your own house.
You're right.
Talking about marrying Quint again, I guess that means you got this Rebecca nonsense all straightened out, huh?
No, yes, and no.
That's an answer?
When I came back from California, she was supposed to be gone, out of the house. Well, I walk in, and there she is standing there. So I got all upset, and I started to leave, and then I overheard Quint telling Rebecca how he really feels about me and that he really loves me. And so I decided not to leave. I'm not going to let her kick me out of the house, get rid of me that easily.
I didn't think you would.
But I know one thing. She has got something on him.
Did you find out what it was?
No, but she's holding something over his head to get whatever she wants. I don't know, but I just wish I could find out what it is so I could help him.
Well, you know, maybe he doesn't want you to know because he's afraid what it is will turn you against him. Did you ever think of that?
Well...
Here.
Nothing in his past is going to turn me against him. As long as I know that he loves me and only me. Nothing or nobody is going to change the way I feel about him.
Special that Stacy might need?
Gosh, I don't know. She's got just about everything a little girl would want.
Well, if you happen to think of anything, just let me know, would you?
Sure.
Yeah. You got a minute? Yeah, sure. What do you need? Ah, we got it. Kitty, hold the fort.
Again. That's incredible. Hey, Rick. Hey, Phil. That's a big one, huh? Till you see what a mirror does for this bar.
Yeah. Are we going to put it up there?
Yeah. Wait. Let's set it down on that. All right. Gentle.
No, thank you. I know now that you found out the discrepancy in the books at the time of the Jocelyn Electronics deal. And I wondered whether there was anything I could do to keep you from revealing that.
Mr. Chamberlain, I would never go to Alan Spaulding with that information, but if I was able to discover that discrepancy, others may as well.
Yes, I realize that. Now, I know this doesn't explain my actions, or excuse them. But at the time of the merger between the Chamberlain Corporation and Spaulding, the Chamberlains had to take a large loss. And this whole Jocelyn deal was my effort, wrongfully, to try to get back some of that money. Now, I've decided that I will siphon back that $2 million that Vanessa and I got out of Jocelyn into Spaulding Enterprises.
Mr. Chamberlain, I'm not really concerned about your past dealings between your corporation and the Spaulding Enterprises. I do, however, think that your suggestion is a good one. I wouldn't want to see you unnecessarily hurt by all of this.
Thank you, Quint. I've never been involved in a situation like this before. And I promise you I never shall be again.
I know that. But may I make a suggestion?
Please do.
I would never go to Alan Spaulding, but somebody else might. So I think the sooner you put the money back into the corporation, the safer you'll be.
Oh, well, I'll see it's done as soon as possible.
Good.
Of course, the trick will be to get Vanessa to give up her half of the money.